Andrew Wiggins could be on the move, but what's the best deal Miami would want in a potential trade? Plus, a current player cracks the top 25 players list on today's episode of Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, whether you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio, here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. And David, we have a jam-packed show today. The Heat have made some roster moves as they get set for training camp, and we continue our 25 of 25 series with a look at one of the more polarizing Heat players of the last 25 years, I think it's safe to say. But before we jump into any of that, we are still talking about Andrew Wiggins, or rather, really, Lakers fans are still talking about Andrew Wiggins as a potential trade target. This whole saga is kind of interesting, David. This seems like it's a way bigger talking point in LA than it is in Miami. We've talked about where things stand between the Heat and the Lakers in regards to an Andrew Wiggins trade last week, right? The Lakers seem to want Wiggins more than the Heat are motivated to move off of Wiggins. This is not a situation where Wiggins is on the trade block. And you know, you get on social media and it sounds like Lakers fans think that the Heat are trying to trade Andrew Wiggins. I tweeted something like, the Heat are going nowhere. They need to realize that and just take what they can get for Wiggins. I'm like, why? The guy's got a player option for next year. He's pretty good. They didn't like, I don't know that the market out there, he's not like a negative contract. It's not like they have to get rid of him by all means. This isn't a Terry Rozier situation. So, you know, you've got all of that. You've got the Athletic report late last week that they are trying to re-engage perhaps Miami on Andrew Wiggins trade talks. The Lakers are trying to go all in on this Luka Doncic window after he signed the extension and think that Wiggins could be a good fit for that starting five, which obviously he can be as a two-way wing. What are they willing to include is the big question. And according to Dan Wojcicki from The Athletic, they are not yet willing to include a 2031 or a 2032 first. Now, whatever else they're willing to include, whether it's Dalton Connect, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Max Cleveland, like they have a bunch of stuff that they could include. But according to the reporting, it sounds like Miami wouldn't even broach the topic internally unless one of those future first-round picks is included in a potential deal. To echo our reporting here, David, I know I'm going long to start the show, but bear with me. To echo the reporting on this, the Heat aren't motivated to trade Wiggins. The Lakers are making phone calls. The Heat are not making outweigh calls, right? So this whole idea that conversations have reopened between the Lakers and the Heat about Andrew Wiggins, perhaps that's technically true because the Lakers made a phone call to Miami and the Heat are not in the business right now of turning down phone calls. But it's not as if Wiggins is on the trade block. So I just want to make that very clear. Before we get to the fun part of this, David, okay, let's say that the Heat do trade Andrew Wiggins. Okay, really hypothetically, let's say that the Lakers say, you know what, we need Wiggins this bad. Here's the 2031 or the 2032 first. I don't know that you have a preference, David. I don't. It doesn't really matter which one. But here's one of these highly valuable future first-round picks that will be conveyed after LeBron James is no longer a Laker. Who knows what those picks should be worth? If the Lakers were to include one of those first-round picks, what else would it take for you to say yes if you were the Heat's front office to a Wiggins trade? What else would they have to include? Or would just the first-round pick be enough for you?
Honestly, I don't think there's anything on the Lakers roster that would make it more appealing to trade Wiggins at all. I think Wiggins is a better player in the deal, which is why they're in a position of desperation. I think we talked about this last week when we first discussed the possibility of a Wiggins trade. As you pointed out, there is a high level of interest from the Lakers front office in shoring up their starting lineup because they do see an opportunity to cash in. This is the year of the revamped Luka Doncic. You know, he's slimmed down. I think they want to continue to build on that while LeBron is still very much a top 20 player in the league. And this is as good an opportunity as they're going to get. And so they want to be able to make moves to improve that roster and contend when right now they don't seem like a very likely contender. They're a good team. They have some potential, but in a very deep Western
Would Wiggins
Conference,
move the needle for them in your mind?
I think so. I think so because again, as we talked about last week, like he moves the needle even for Miami. He's an X factor, and with a top superstar in Luka, and still, and even as an aging superstar, still a very much a top 20 player in LeBron James. Wiggins is a great complementary piece. Now, of course, that also depends on what they can get out of DeAndre Ayton and that starting lineup, whether he's motivated, etc. So there are a lot of X factors, and you
would
can
it
listen
move
to
them
those
into
on
the
Locked On
tier?
Lakers.
Maybe the more specific thing is,
yes.
Would it move them into that tier with the like Oklahoma City, Houston, Denver?
I think so.
Right now, they're not in that tier in your mind. Adding Wiggins would put them in that tier.
Yeah, I think so. Because again, he's a complimentary scorer, great wing defender, a lot of things he does well, championship experience.
Well, that's the case. They should include the first round pick. If they believe that, then there's no reason for them not to include that future first round pick. If that moves them into that top tier in the West, there is zero excuse for them not to include that first round pick. And that's why I asked it, right? Because I think that's a very important part of this equation, even from Miami's side. So if the Lakers think, hey, if we're a Wiggins away, because we need Wiggins to guard Jamal Murray, Kevin Durant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, this is the guy who we think can. Sorry, Rui Hachimura. I like Rui Hachimura. You know this. Like, I was pining for the Heat to trade for him when the Lakers traded for him from Washington a couple years ago. Rui Hachimura is not Wiggins in terms of perimeter defense. They don't have a perimeter. They simply do not have a perimeter defender. I know that they picked up Marcus Smart. That's not him in this stage of his career.
No.
So maybe you're right. And if the Lakers believe that, let's say they call Miami. I'm gonna get even more specific here, David. Let's say that they include. So right now it sounds like they're willing to include Dalton Connect, and every time that and according to the reporting on this, they're like, "Hey, Dalton Connect, that's a former first round pick. That's as good as a first round pick, guys." And the Heat are like, "No, not quite. Like that's a car driven off the lot, dude. Like we'd rather have the future first round pick." Dalton Connect couldn't even crack your rotation last year. Like relax. But let's say they include Rui Hachimura, Dalton Connect, and the 2031 first, or the 2032, whichever one. Would you do that if you're Miami for Wiggins? Because you're getting Hachimura on an expiring contract, so you don't no long-term issue there. You get a flyer on a young guy like Connect, add him to your young group of players with Jovic and Jaime and Pelle Larson and Kasparis Yakachonis and all these guys. Okay, we'll throw Dalton Connect into the mix too. And some salary filler, which is also expiring for the record. They have Maxi Kleber, they have Gabe Vincent, like they have salary filler that is expiring and doesn't, pin down Miami into any long-term salary issues. So if that were with the first round pick, if that were the deal, would you say yes if you were the Heat?
No, I wouldn't. I would not. I don't think it's enough. I think it's not like Miami is a clear contender either, but I think Wiggins is the high value player here. He's the one that is what people are seeking, what teams are looking for to shore up their rosters. And so that being the case, you're operating from a position of strength. It's like you've got to be able to make a very good offer that blows me away. And that ain't it. Like Hachimura is a fine player. Connect has some potential, but again, I think you're right. We had some feedback last week when we first talked about the Lakers and the reporting around that potential deal for Wiggins, and they were like, "Oh, he's a first round pick." So what? Almost everybody in the league's a first round pick, and they get traded for peanuts anyway because they're not good enough. And that's I think where Connect is right now. And it's not a knock on him necessarily. It's hard to be one of the top players in the league, and Connect isn't it. And so you'd rather bank, as you said, on that potential of a first round pick down the road. And that being the case, you'd also want a player that I think would make more of an immediate impact. Hachimura would be a great player for the Heat to have added a few years ago, like you said, when Jimmy Butler was on this roster, where he would have shored up that front court. He would have allowed Bam to stay at the center position, but that's no longer the case. He plays the power forward spot. Guess what? Bam Adebayo is a much better power forward than Rui Hachimura is, and he's going to continue to hold that position. So I like the idea of adding that kind of depth if you can, but it's just not enough for me. If they threw in a couple second round picks maybe, or something along those lines, and I know it sounds probably like, I know Lakers fans have said, no way, just, what is it, Gabe Vincent and a couple of
again, there's just the idea that we would love to have Gabe Vincent back. You guys paid him more that summer than the Heat were willing to pay him. You wanted him more than the Heat did. And look, I like Hachimura. You know that. You are spot on. That guy fits a Jimmy Butler roster with Bam at center way more than he fits this roster. Because guess what? You put Hachimura in the Wiggins spot on Miami's roster,
No.
We're dealing with the same issues that the Lakers are dealing with now, where they're like, we like Hachimura, but he's not quite the perimeter defender that we need, and all these things. Like Miami's backcourt right now sounds like Tyler Herro, Norm Powell. Wiggins is super important to that perimeter group defensively. Like he's the guy who's going to be picking up the top ball handler on other teams most nights when Davion Mitchell is not in the game. It's going to be Wiggins. And so you take Wiggins off the roster, Hachimura ain't doing that. And Lakers fans could sit here and be like, you guys aren't contending for anything, whatever. Yes, you're right. The Heat are not winning the championship this year. Correct. That's also not the point. Like they're trying to be as good of a basketball team as they possibly can this season. Understanding that they ain't going to win the championship. They're still trying to be a good basketball team, and taking Wiggins off the team makes them worse. And it's not as if they have to duck the luxury tax. They did that already in trading Haywood Highsmith, by the way. In trading Highsmith, Wiggins becomes that much more important to Miami's roster.
Yes.
It would have to be, to your point, David, an offer that they can't refuse. And maybe they view that future first-round pick as that. Maybe they say, you know what? That allows us to add one more first-round pick to our treasure trove of things. We are looking to make that superstar trade, adding this first-round pick we think in our projections gets us over the top when Giannis becomes available or whoever. You know, if that's the case, then maybe they do it. But if not, then I don't really see a reason for them to do it at this point. You can add Connect. You can add a first-round pick. I still think like this wouldn't be a automatic yes for Miami if the Lakers included that first-round pick. They would still have to take a very long meeting about it and say, are we really willing to take this much of a step back in order to get this one first-round pick? I don't think that's an easy decision, one way or the other.
No.
Go ahead if you have one more thing to say on this. Or
No. I think that's spot on. I just think there's no need to make a move, and that being the case, again, you're in a position of strength here where you can't afford to just take offers, and maybe there'll be another contender down the road that sees Wiggins as a crucial piece and might be willing to offer one more player of value or one more pick that Miami could add to their treasure trove. And that being the case, why bother engaging the Lakers for a potential deal?
Lakers fans could call us stubborn and all these things, and I'm sure they will. I'll remind people, Wiggins is not on the trade block. You called us. Wiggins did not demand a trade, right? Like this isn't Damian Lillard demanding a trade from Portland and then Miami trying to get him for nothing. Okay, this is a very different scenario. You guys called us. We were just minding our own business. And now you're knocking on the door asking to buy our house. And we're like, we don't want to move. And they're like, oh, you're being so stubborn. It's like, the house isn't on the market. We're very happy. Our kids go to the school here. We're good. Like, we're good. Right. Meanwhile, the Heat did fill out their training camp roster with some roster moves. We'll tell you who they added, who's going to be coming to camp, and the roster spot that they're competing for after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, unfortunately, for Miami Dolphins fans. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You'll love using FanDuel. It fits however you like to bet, whether it's player props, building a same game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Makes every game more exciting, and Dolphins fans can certainly use that. Whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup, it's quick, it's easy, it's the best way to add a little bit more energy to your Sunday. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for making Locked On Heat. Support the show is to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on your favorite podcast app. 25-25 is coming up here in a second, but first, the Heat finalized their training camp roster late last week, adding several players to Exhibit 10 contracts. So I'm going to tell you who they added, and then I'm going to give you my takeaway, David, here in a second. But they added 3 guards and a forward. They added guards Jameer Young, Mark Madsen, and Trevor Keels, and they added forward Dane Danger as training camp invites. So that puts them now at the maximum 21 players under contract for training camp. Training camp starts September 30th, the day after Media Day on September 29th. Those 4 players are going to compete for Miami's final two-way spot. The Heat have 3 two-way spots on the roster. Currently, they have 2 of them filled. Vlad Golden, who we've talked about, and then Myron Gardner are the 2 guys currently on those two-way deals. So these 4 are essentially competing for that final two-way spot. Now, I will remind people, these two-way roster spots can be swapped out at any time with zero impact to the salary cap. So if 2 of these guys outplay Myron Gardner, for instance, then he can waive Gardner and then promote two of these guys to two-way contracts if they want to do that. But for all intents and purposes, really what we're talking about here is the Heat feel very good about Vlad Golden. They feel pretty good about Myron Gardner, and they're allowing these other four guys to compete for that final two-way spot. Little quick synopsis bio on these guys. All right, so Jameer Young played for Chicago last year, mostly in the G League, played a few games for the Bulls last season. 6'2", 185-pound guard out of Maryland, went undrafted in 2024. Pretty decent shooter. Averaged 22 points in the G League last year, shot 39.7% on threes. All right, so this guy is a shooter. Then you've got Trevor Keels, who I remember when he played at, I think it was Duke. Yeah, it was Duke. I have it written down here. I don't know why I had to guess. Keels, 6'5" guard. He was drafted in the second round by the Knicks in 2022, played in a handful of games, mostly played in the G League, averaged 11.5 points in the at Duke his final year before going in the second round in 2022. You got Mark Madsen, also a guard, 6'5", went undrafted this past June, this past draft, went undrafted. Played at Utah collegiately for a long time, played 120 games in college, averaged 15 points, 2.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists last season. Shot 36% for his career on threes, although last year he had a down year from three-point range. He'd been higher than 36% in each of his previous collegiate seasons before that. So a little bit of a slump, but a career 36% shooter from three. So between Young and Madsen, you got a couple of shooters. You've got Keels, who's a little bit more of a tweener. And then you've got Dane Dainja, 6'9", 255 pounds. Heat fans might remember him from the Las Vegas Summer League team. Played a few games for Miami in Vegas, averaged 9 points, 2.5 rebounds, and just over 13 minutes a game. So that's the group, right? So to me, what stands out is it feels like the Heat are clearly targeting a guard to add to their final two-way roster spot because, again, 3 of the 4 guys here are guards. 2 of them specifically are shooters. I think if the Heat are hoping for anything, it's that one of these 2 shooters between Young and Madsen probably play really well in training camp and earn one of those two-way deals because I do think that there's a belief that they need some shooting, at least in one of those two-way spots. We know that Miami likes to have a shooter kind of in the pipeline there, David.
Kind of like the Cole Swider model that we've seen over the last couple seasons. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's probably what they're looking for, and maybe see whether or not any of those guards might be a capable defender as well. Because again, you're going to have questions with the backcourt, at least as we see it starting. Davion Mitchell, that's not a problem, but other than that, you don't. I mean, Drew Smith, again, who knows if you can really realistically rely on him? Health has been such a concern over the past few years of his career that as good as he is, as much of an impact defender as he can be, I don't know if that's necessarily somebody that you want to rely on as the only real backup there too. So I think you're probably looking for somebody to pop and maybe add a little bit defensively as well. So of those 3, I don't know that any of them really stands out as a potential defender. I think they would probably lean the 4-year collegiate player because again, there's experience there, and usually those guys tend to have a little bit more drive or a little bit more purpose because they're a much more polished and complete player. But they went undrafted for a reason. So is there a name there that stands out to you as far as a particular player?
I mean, Jameer Young can put it up like in bunches. He's sort of this microwave scorer type. This Mark Madsen guy, though, is really interesting. Also, he's got a little bit more size than Young. The shooting was a little, iffy this past year, but for the overall body of work over, several collegiate seasons, I think I'm okay with it. But yeah, again, the Heat could go in any direction. They don't even have to sign any of these guys to their two-way contracts. I liked Keels at Duke. He's kind of interesting to me, more of like a utility do-it-all guy. So we'll see. We'll see who pops. Let's move on to our 25 of 25 series. Looking back at the top 25 Heat players of the last 25 seasons, each episode will be taking an in-depth look at every player who made the list, as voted on by us and our Locked On Heat Insider community through the lens of what made them a definitive part of the franchise's history. Checking in at number 10 on our last episode was Mario Chalmers, and today we are firmly within the top 10 at number 9. It is the man made famous by a snarl, at one point one of the most polarizing players in the league. He is no stranger to trade rumors or, as of last season, the All-Star team. It's the boy wonder himself. It is David Tyler Herro. Tyler Herro's tenure with the Miami Heat has been defined by instant impact, flashes of stardom, years of trade rumors, and steady growth into one of the franchise's most important young players. Drafted 13th overall in 2019 out of Kentucky, Tyler Herro joined Miami as part of the new wave of talent that complemented Jimmy Butler's arrival the same offseason. His scoring instincts, confidence, and perimeter shooting quickly stood out, making him a valuable contributor from day one. Tyler Herro's rookie season was highlighted by a breakout performance in the 2020 NBA playoffs during the NBA bubble. At just 20 years old, he became the youngest player in franchise history to score 30 points in a playoff game, dropping 37 points against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. His fearless shot making and ability to perform on the biggest stage made him a fan favorite and earned him a spot on the NBA All-Rookie second team. Over the following seasons, Herro transitioned from spark plug off the bench to a consistent starter and offensive focal point. He won the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award in 2022, averaging over 20 points per game while leading one of the league's deepest rotations. Known for his quick release, crafty shot creation, and underrated playmaking, Herro became an essential piece for Miami's balanced attack alongside Butler and Bam Adebayo. But he was also the subject of constant trade rumors as the Heat searched for a fully formed superstar to pair alongside Butler and Bam. Names like Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Donovan Mitchell were bandied about in Miami, but Herro was never thrust into the spotlight more than when he was the centerpiece of a potential deal to land Damian Lillard in the summer of 2023. For months, Herro's value was debated in NBA circles as the league awaited Portland's decision to trade Lillard. Eventually, after refusing to do business with the Heat, the Trailblazers moved him to the Milwaukee Bucks. Herro was eating lunch with Eric Spoelstra in Coconut Grove when Shams broke the news, and the two immediately hashed out a way to move forward. What followed were career seasons for Herro, who has stepped up as the number one scoring option as the Heat dealt with injuries and eventually a trade demand from Jimmy Butler. Despite Herro's perseverance, he's also become a divisive figure among Heat fans. Some won't be satisfied until he develops into the rare number one option as a contender. Others are more realistic and can appreciate what he brings to the table: elite shot making and three-point shooting, a relentless work ethic, and an admirable ability to shut out the outside noise. Beyond statistics, Herro's swagger and confidence have made him a cultural figure in Miami. His fashion sense, viral moments, and ability to deliver in clutch situations have amplified his presence beyond the court. Despite trade rumors in recent off seasons, the Heat have constantly valued him as a part of their core. Tyler Herro's time in Miami has solidified him as one of the most talented young guards in franchise history and a key piece in the era that is up next. We'll get to our rankings. We'll get to our trivia. We'll get to our sliding doors moment with Tyler Herro after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with zero sugar and zero crashes. You'll love exactly how portable these things are. Big taste, tiny shot, and you can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. I love how fast it kicks in and that it's sugar-free, so I don't have to worry about crashing later. It's just a great boost throughout the day. Sometimes you get a little tired. Sometimes, maybe you didn't get a good night's sleep. I know it certainly happens with me. Wes, I'm sure you can identify with that. Now, enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites that you love, or be bold to try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or via Amazon today. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. So back to Tyler Herro's ranking here within our 25 of 25. The highest he was ranked was 6 by our panel members. The lowest was 12. I had him at 8. David, you also had him at 8. So Tyler Herro cracking the top 10 in the most important 25 players in Heat history over the last 25 years. What stands out to you about Herro? Why do you think he deserves to be in the top 10? And why did you rank him 8?
I think that we've seen the body of work over the past 6 seasons of his career, and he's not only is he a drafted player, but there's longevity there now. Like, again, we're talking about the fact that he's weathered the constant offseason storm of being included in potential trade talks and dealing with that and saying, you know what, I'm going to continue to bet on myself. I'm going to continue to develop, and he has. And I think that gets so overlooked is because I don't understand exactly what it is about Herro that people want to either have these outsized expectations or they're not satisfied with what it is that he does do, and they kind of ignore how good he's become. Like, to become an all-star player, I even if you think he wasn't fully deserving. Like, he was in the conversation, and both you and I agree that he was exactly deserving of that honor. But he's in the conversation, and that's kind of what you were hoping for from like the most vocal critics maybe 2-3 seasons ago, saying, "Oh, Hero's never going to be good enough." I remember saying after his rookie season and talking to his trainer Andrew Moran, and he said he was going to be a 2-time All-Star, multiple-time All-Star. And when I talked about that on the show, I remember people saying, "Yeah, right. There's no way he'll ever be an all-star. He's overrated as heck." It's like, well, guess what? He's an all-star already. And there's a good chance that he'll make the all-star team again as he continues to develop and become the player that he is. So he's just always been a very solid, productive player that has a limited ceiling, perhaps. And yet that's still a very good player and one that has made an impact in his 6 seasons here in Miami. And I think that's when I look at his career and how much of a just role he's had to play here, the fact that he's dealt with all the constant scrutiny and trade rumors and everything like that and continues to develop, I think he's absolutely deserving of this honor of being a top 10 player in over the last 25 seasons.
The production is there. Let's be very clear. The production is there. The guy's an all-star. He's the highest he averaged the most points per game in a season since LeBron James left in 2014. If you want to turn your nose up at that as a Heat fan, go ahead. But this is also an offense that's been in the bottom 10 of the league for the last 3 years and desperately needs somebody like Tyler Herro. And now Heat fans will come back and say, well, Herro doesn't make his teammates better. Herro should be the guy, the number one option. Why? Why are you putting these kinds of expectations on a guy who is small in stature, limited athletically? You tell me the guy who looks like and has the athleticism and has the body type of Tyler Herro, who's the number one scoring option on an elite offense, and miss me with Steph Curry. Like, beyond the generational, once-in-a-lifetime Steph Curry, who's the guy that looks like and has the athletic build of Tyler Herro, who's the number one scoring option on a high-level offense? The answer is nobody, ever. Like, these guys aren't number one scoring options. He is not a 6'8" wing who's jumping out the building. He ain't Anthony Edwards. And if you want to throw Tyler Herro's own words against him, where he says, I should be in the same conversation as Luke and Trey, okay, fine. Have you ever met an athlete before, like in your life, and talked to him like a high-level athlete? This is what they sound like.
Good. No. They're like, oh, I'm not really that good. I don't even know if I belong here.
Orlando Robinson on Media Day 2 years ago, and he said, I'm one of the best centers in the league. Why? Because you have to carry yourself that way in order to make it. That's how it happens. You don't humble your way into the NBA. You have to be a sicko and a little bit of a narcissist to think that you're good enough to play at that level. You have to be. It's part of their DNA. So the thing that's just the stuff, like box score stuff. The production is there and everything's there. From a personal standpoint, the reason I ranked him so high and the reason why I've always respected Tyler Herro so much and refused to get down there with Heat fans who want to just drag him through the mud is because, and maybe this is me being a little bit too close as a reporter, but I know how he works and the work ethic is unreal. Like, this guy has so much of my respect. He embodies the Heat culture stuff that they always talk about. Udonis Haslem once told me he's the most skilled player he's ever played with, and that includes Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. And it doesn't mean he's the best. I know nuance gets lost sometimes on the internet, but he just said naturally skilled. With the ball in his hands, he does things that those guys could not do. And that speaks volumes. And the reason I've always defended Tyler Herro and maybe not defended Jimmy Butler so much on this show, not to make it this thing, is because Jimmy didn't give you 100% every single day. We knew that. You saw it on the court. And don't pretend that he did, because we saw it on the court. Tyler Herro, for better or for worse, whether it worked or it didn't work, whether he was hurt or he wasn't, whether he wanted to be a starter or wanted to come off the bench, whatever, he gave you 100% every single day. And that stuff matters to me. And it's why I think he's clearly one of the best players, including just the raw production is important to this team. So that said, let's get to some trivia, David. Are you ready? All right.
Yes.
I have 2 questions for you.
Oh.
In 2023, the Heat told Tyler Herro that they would only trade him for this one thing. What was it?
A top 10 player in the league.
Okay, I'll count it. A future Hall of Fame type player, but that's fine.
Okay.
I'll count it.
Right.
I'll give you the points.
Thank you.
What is Tyler Herro's favorite fast food restaurant?
Oh. Favorite fast food restaurant. I don't know. Did you write that in your profile for him for the Ringer?
I have written. I don't think I wrote it in the Ringer profile, but I have written it somewhere before, and we have definitely talked about it. And I have had several conversations with him about it.
Okay, and maybe this is too much of a hint. Is it a specific geography type place, like only available, say, in the Midwest where he's from, or is this a place available here in South Florida as well?
It's a fair question. It's national. It's wherever you can. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Wendy's.
That's a really bad guess. Who would ever say Wendy's?
That's why I thought it was like I want to go out of left field here and say his favorite fast food place. Like, why not?
Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A.
Damn, should have known that.
He likes the chicken sandwich with chicken nuggets, and on a bad day, he's adding.
We talked about it before. Like he was even eating like 3,000 calories of Chick-fil-A for his weight gain
when he was trying to put on weight. Yeah, he did cut it out before last season and found better ways to add whole foods, calories, and protein to his diet. He did. I actually asked him about it. I was like,
chicken sandwiches.
Did you? Turns out that's not the best for you. That's crazy. Huh. I love how it takes young players that long to figure that part of it out. Like you even said, like Anthony Edwards in that Netflix documentary, he's like just downing full Domino's pizzas. I'm like, I can't wait for the summer where Anthony Edwards is like, yeah, I really cleaned up my diet. I'm gluten-free now. All this stuff, like, and you're just like, oh my God. And he'll be like one of the best 4 players in the league at that point. It always happens.
But that's also why you see retired players like put on the weight they do. It's like, no, go figure. When you're not 22 years old and burning 10,000 calories a day on the court, it kind of catches up to you if you continue eating that way.
I don't have a 20-year-old metabolism, and I'm not running back and forth on a court 8 miles a day.
Yeah.
Sliding doors moment. This is a moment that could have changed the way that this player is remembered for better or for worse. In other words, a what if moment. There's a lot of things here. You have one?
I do have one specifically for me. It's the 2023 playoffs.
That's what I had. If he doesn't break his hand.
Yeah, because he was playing really well in that first half against the Milwaukee Bucks.
12 points in 19 minutes.
He was so engaged, and he approached that series with the purpose of dismissing his bad performance the previous season and wanting to show I can be a playoff player. Instead, he gets hurt, and many pundits, I remember having this conversation a lot during that improbable finals run, that it was despite Tyler Herro's injury that they made a run to the finals. It might have been because of the injury that they made it to the finals, that they were able to get the performances that they did from guys like Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, etc. He didn't not typically hijack the offense or slow things down because of his own unique pace and style of play, etc. And then, of course, the defense issues didn't manifest at any point because he wasn't even out on the floor. So had he been able to stay healthy, would it have proven to the Heat that maybe he's not a good player? Would it have shown him that maybe he is a capable player? And I think from the fan perspective as well, had he had a good run and been a part of that, who knows how they would perceive him. Instead, it's always this constant lingering question. He's just not a playoff performer. He's not a 16-game type player.
For the record, we don't know if it was because of or despite of. And that's why it's such a great sliding doors moment. I would love to know, right? I would love to know what that team could have done. If they do the exact same thing with Tyler Herro in the rotation and make the 2023 finals, I think that paired with the run he had in 2020 in the bubble, we think of Tyler Herro in a very different way. We're like, wow, this guy playing next to a superstar player can elevate an offense. And we remember hearing in the NBA finals, potentially Tyler Herro could come back against the Nuggets. And had that series been extended, I do wonder if we would have seen Tyler Herro. And I know that they could have used Tyler Herro in that finals against that high-powered Nuggets offense to try to go. They could not score with that team. They could not score with them. And I thought they defended Denver relatively well. They didn't have an answer at the end of the day for the Jokic-Murray two-man game when they guarded Jokic. Murray went off when they guarded Murray. Jokic went off. They didn't have an answer for it. Tyler Herro would not have helped that, obviously. But maybe they could have scored with them a little bit more and maybe pushed those games that kind of felt like blowouts, those last couple of games of that series. So I think it's a huge sort of sliding doors what if moment. The other one's obviously like, okay, what if Joe Cronin is in a bleep hole and actually engages Miami and you know, Tyler Herro just gets, that's not as interesting because then that's just like, okay, well then Tyler Herro just is in Portland now. Like that's the sliding door. There you go. That's the resolution to that. But If he doesn't break his hand diving for that loose ball, yeah, I think that the outcome of that could be potentially fascinating. All right,
Yeah,
really quick. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say I don't know that there's any other seminal moment like that where it's just this is a pivotal point in his career.
Right.
If he gets traded for X player, that's
Right,
more of
then
a
he-
team wide kind of thing. It's like, oh,
Right.
maybe they would have won the championship, or maybe they wouldn't have. But you never really know because the trade was
But
never
for Hero,
consummated.
it's
But
not interesting.
yes, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Is he jersey worthy? Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of ubiquitous around the arena, because he's such a young player. But you know what? And we're kind of overlooking the fact that there are a lot of young players, young fans here in South Florida that love Tyler Herro.
That's very
And
true.
we've brought it up a number of times, but it bears repeating. That first rookie season, you weren't covering the team. I was, and going to games and hearing the oohs and ahs from the crowd every time he dribbled and pulled back for his jumper. I've never seen anything like it. Not during Dwayne's tenure, not during the Jimmy Butler, nothing. No player excited and captivated the fans, the in-arena experience as much as Tyler Herro, because you never knew what he was going to do with the ball. And it was always something flashy. And when he'd cross somebody over or pull up for his jumper with a midi or something like that, like it was just every time fans would collectively draw their breath and you could hear it as he was rising up to take the shot. And then all of a sudden he'd hit it and the whole place would explode. Like people loved Tyler Herro his rookie season, and he hasn't done anything to detract from that love. And yet fans are so frustrated with him, and I don't see the reason why.
You know what? It's also important to remember, like, he's a big hit in Palm Beach. Like, it's just there's a certain demographic that appreciates Tyler Herro being on the team. It's there. He's definitely jersey worthy. Okay. The last one here is the Jones Battier Zoe test. Doesn't apply. He's on the roster. Doesn't apply. And then we have versus. Pin this player against the player who came before him and ask, did we get it right? Tyler Herro today, coming in one spot over Mario Chalmers. The answer to me, obviously, is yes.
Yes, I agree.
Let us know what you think in the comments section here on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day.